talk about it with two people who understand the issue very well. Author of Superconvergence, Jamie Metzl, and Steven Yates, former Deputy National Security Advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, now with the Heritage Foundation. It's good to have you both. You're right next to me, so give me a handshake.
All right, good.
Good to see you. Good
Nice
to see you.
to see you.
All right, so let's deal with it this way. Jamie, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
When we're looking at this, what is the concern, but also what is the right question?
So there are two concerns. One is this specific case of these two students, actually a male and a female, who were romantic partners of each other. They're working in a lab both in China and at the University of Michigan. And the allegation is that they would, not the allegation, it seems very clear that they were sneaking fungal samples. And there's two ways to see it. One is that they were trying to do lab work, and the other is something more nefarious. But the bigger issue is that anybody can sneak all kinds of materials into the United States. Our systems for biosafety and biosecurity are wholly inadequate. So even if this is a more benign example, we know that China is our adversary, our enemy, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and we are not prepared to have a serious response on issues of biosafety and biosecurity. That's the big issue.
So, serious response. We were talking before this, Jamie and I, and we were talking about how they're reacting, the government just passing another travel ban. The concern is that it should be a scalpel and that they're using an axe instead. So the counterpoint, I want to ask Steven about that. So, Steven, the counterpoint would be that if you want to have control over people who are sending people here or working on people here to attack us and our way of life, is this too extreme, this travel ban?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at the nation that has done more to attack us with actual real-life casualties in astonishing numbers, there is a Sesame Street exercise of one of these things is not like any of the others. It is only the People's Republic of China that has killed 1 million Americans with COVID and killed 400,000 Americans with fentanyl precursors just in recent years. If this happened in a mass event, we would be at world war at this point, and there would be a very clear and present danger associated with that enemy. And so what we're getting is sort of this trickle of events, whether it's these students, there were some students in Florida that were captured that were up to no good. And these two students, they supposedly in their electronics had a document about plant pathogen warfare. Who writes that kind of stuff? Who has that kind of stuff? It's pretty much just the People's Liberation Army. And so the travel ban from other extremist areas at risk, I think that's an important area. We've lost the thread on that in the post 9/11 world, I think. We can't go back to what that was, but what is the new normal? But the China part, we are wildly wide of the mark in getting serious about that.
But is that because, Jamie, that we can't do anything about it? Can't take China on? Look, I don't know that it's completely fair to blame them, Steve, by the way, for killing 1 million of us. I think the research on COVID is pretty convincing that it wasn't a wet market. It came from that lab. But you would have to assume...
It came from a country that let their people out.
Right, but also, if they wanted to kill us, they killed a lot of their own. Also, I mean, it doesn't sound like that would have been the smartest way to weaponize the virus.
Let me jump in on this. I'm a Democrat, but I've worked very closely with the Heritage Foundation. I was the lead Democrat on the bipartisan Heritage Foundation Commission on China and COVID-19, working with John Ratcliffe. We looked closely at these issues. It certainly is my view that China has a very high degree of culpability for the entire COVID-19 pandemic, not because it was a bioweapon, but because of all of the things that we laid out in our report. And I completely agree that China poses a fundamental threat to the United States, which we have not taken seriously. And this, whatever the turns out to be the case in this particular case of these two young people and this fungus, we have to take the China threat much more seriously, and we're not.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.